Are you tired of failing trials? Are you tired of clients saying that you're not good enough to work for them? Are you tired of going through every single trial, whether that be free or paid, and the client says, thank you, but after careful consideration, you're not good enough? So today in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to go through the trial process and basically just win every single time. Now, I'm not going to say that you're going to win every single time because you have to obviously put in the work and the steps that I tell you to do. Okay, but generally, I'm going to give you the blueprint of how trials work. First of all, most of you don't even know how trials work. I'm going to show you how trials work, and then I'm going to show you what people are looking for when hiring editors so that you know to get hired for next time. Now, first of all, if you don't know who I am, my name is dannyrio. I'm an editor. I've been editing for like 4 years. If you want to check my credentials, you can go to my portfolio, see who I've worked with, see the work that I've made. And otherwise, let's just get into it because you can see on the screen right here. The first thing I have is, here are client trials that I have lost/failed. Now, usually you'd probably be thinking, Danny, you're supposed to show us all of the clients that you land. And, I understand, right? Like, who is this fucking fraud telling us about the clients that he's failed? Now, let me explain what this means. What does it mean to lose or fail a trial? I'm going to go through all of these experiences. I'm going to tell you what I have learned that helps me to understand what client trials are. So we have Ali A here, Jessa, Sebastian, Georgiou, and Ferg. And from every single one of these, I have lost the trial and I have learned something from it. Now with the Ali A job, he made a job posting and a lot of editors had applied, but there were also a handful of editors, a very small few of editors that Ali had DM'd to say, hey, I've got a trial, would you like to start working on it? And I said yes, because I watched Ali as a kid. I watched a bunch of his content and I thought, yeah, sure, why not? Now, when I started editing it, I thought, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do well on the trial. He's going to offer me the job and then I'm going to say no to him because I don't want to edit this content because I completely forgot what kind of content that Ali had done. And at some point, another editor had said, hey, is anyone doing this Ali A trial right now? I need some serious help. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to get the job, so I might as well just help him out and see what goes on. So I asked him about it, and his work was so much better than mine. But it wasn't better as in like miles better. There were tiny details that showed me he was more likely to get the job, but he was struggling. And if he was struggling and his work with this was this good, his submission was this good, then it means that he must have seen another editor do better than him. And ultimately, I did not land Ali as a client. But he did give me some notes. He said that he liked the work and he said, would you like to work on this instead? We actually liked your submission. Would you like to do this instead? Made me think, okay, so if there were other editors that were better than me, it doesn't mean that I was bad. It just means they were like 1 or 2% better. With Jessa here, it was the exact same thing. With Sebastian, it was the exact same thing. And with Ferg, it was the exact same thing. With Ferg, I did the trial. I thought, I'm going to get the job easy, no doubt. I even posted it. I posted the trial. And I was like, I'm gonna get the job, and I didn't. But I did ask them, if you guys need anything in the future, please do let me know. And they said, you know what? Now that I think about it, we do need an editor for the second channel or this separate channel. We liked your submission. We think you'd be a really good fit. And then that was how I got my first $1,000 video. It kind of made me think. So even if I didn't get the Ferg job, it doesn't mean that I'm a bad editor. It just means that there were some details that I may have missed. But there was one client experience, one trial experience where I had won and it had solidified my understanding for how trials worked. And that was for the Nico Milana trial. Now, Nico had approached a handful of editors. By handful, I mean like, small few. And I was one of them. And I did the trial and I got the job. But the point was, he had DM'd these incredibly big editors with great work. And I didn't really know about that until after I had gotten the job. So then when I saw that, had I seen this list of great editors, which I thought were better than me, and granted, they probably still are, it kind of made me realize, okay, trials are not what I thought they were. These guys are great, and I think in any day of the week, they'd probably blow me out to the water with the work. But it made me realize that trials were a lot more intricate than people may realize. If you get a job and someone else doesn't, it doesn't necessarily mean that they are better than you. It just means that you hit certain points that other editors may have not. What does that mean? I'll get into it. So you don't actually know what trials are, okay? Trials are not just, hey, is this editor good for me? But as an editor, you should be thinking, is this client good for me? Now, if you have clients, use the trials to see if the client's right for you. If you don't have clients, you have no choice. If you have clients, if another one comes to you and he says, hey, let's do a trial, I want to see if, if we would be a good fit together, then you think, okay, is he a good fit for me? Because there's been times in the past, and by the way, these are not all the trials that I've done. These were just trials in which I've had stories come out of them. There have also been clients where I've done trials for, and I realized that they were not for my taste. So I said, thank you for the opportunity. It's been a pleasure working with you, but this content isn't really right for me. And then you guys will move on and there's no problem, right? So sometimes it's not really just about the client. It's also about you. Is this client right for me? I've already got a few clients. Do I want to work on this kind of stuff? Does he do something for me that I don't really get from other clients? So for example, if you edit for clients that have this kind of boring content, but they pay you well, then you've got to think, okay, now I want to have a client where I can truly express myself creatively. And if a client doesn't offer that, then it's like, okay, you have nothing to offer me that my other clients don't. And the problem that most editors have is they always assume that it's like, can this guy pay me more than the other guys? And then they find a client that pays them more than their current clients, but at some point they're just going to get ultimately depressed. Oh, I don't enjoy editing. Oh, I get burnt out. Oh, I procrastinate. It's like, oh, dude, your life sucks. Like, maybe just find something that you enjoy editing, because at the end of the day, it's not all about the money, right? And, gosh, do I even say that? Do I even, is that a bit dodgy? Who cares, right? Point being, it's not a one-way system. It's also to test to see if the clients are right for you. You guys just try out the relationship. As an editor, you kind of want to think, is this going to be a good pay? Is this going to be worth it? What are the deadlines like? And bear in mind, a lot of them are going to say, take your time. There isn't a deadline. But sneak peek, they're actually testing you on that deadline as well. So if you can get it to them early and still make it very good, then they know that they won't have to worry about deadlines with you. And whether you have software issues or not, whether there's something else that's wrong, or oh, I had to go to a wedding, I had to go to school, I had to do this or that, it doesn't matter. Time is time, and if it hasn't been delivered, it hasn't been delivered. And that's life, right? The client is also going to think, how hard will it be for this editor to adjust? First thing they're going to think about, how hard will it be for him to adjust? Can we rely on him? And a lot of the time, these trials will be for specific channels, like very regulatory channels that have these formulaic kind of editing. Formulaic, I mean, like, they want you to edit in a specific way, and they want to see if you can adapt to their style of editing. You're probably thinking, okay, but what will make a client choose me? How can I see if I can land clients? How will I know to land clients? How do I know clients will choose me? There are these two very, very, very important details you need to understand as an editor in order for you to, I guess, get chosen. So there's two main factors. Now there's a bunch of different variables that go into trials, but these are the two main things. So understanding the channel style, understanding basic detail importance in editing. So imagine when editors get revisions from their clients, what kind of revisions do you get? Think about that seriously, okay? Because not a lot of editors do this. You want to go through all of your client revisions and see what's the number one thing they ask you to change, okay? I see a lot of memes about clients, about editors saying, oh, my clients keep telling me to change the music, which I have never received in my life. Not once has a client ever asked me to change the music. And if that's like a common thing for you, you're going to want to get better at music selection, which is such a weird thing to focus on, but you're going to want to do it. And if you're worried about clients' revisions, learn what it is that makes the client give you those revision notes, okay? It is crucial for you to start breaking down on the importance of, okay, what does it mean for me to get this revision note, okay? So is it like, is the client telling me, hey, fix this keyframe? Why does the keyframe look wonky? Why do your curves look weird? Why is there so much motion blur? Why is the subtitle pop-in weird? Why don't you fix your anchor points? Why is the tracking weird? You need to fix the tracking. Can you change this part? Why does the audio suddenly cut off? Why do you have awkward cutting? If it's stuff to do with editing, I'm sorry, but you are not going to get past the first round of trials for clients. Because here's the thing, right? What is the easiest thing for a client to communicate with their editors? Just think about it. It's not going to be stuff like, hey, fix the tracking or the subtitle or the anchor point. It's going to be stuff like, when we do this type of content, we like to have the shot looking like this for these parts and the shot looking like this for these parts, right? We also like to make sure that we use this and this. We use this music. Make sure to stick to our assets or whatever, right? So some channels have styles, right? So for the ones that are very formulaic, they're going to say, hey, understand the channel style, which, cool, not a problem. And here's the thing, for a lot of editors, it isn't a problem. And that's fine, because this is the easiest thing to communicate as a client. Okay, I can tell you from experience, clients would much rather say, hey, this is how we do things, than say, hey, fix the thing that you're supposed to be good at. So if the client has to tell you, hey, fix your tracking, fix your subtitles, fix your, why do your animations look weird? Why does your music cut off? Why do you have weird cutting? They don't want to have to tell you, they don't want to have to give revision notes on your editing, because that's your job. Something else that I just forgot to mention. Think about it this way, right? Whenever you look for jobs, whether that be Twitter, YouTube, Discord, wherever, right? Something a lot of people are going to say is very bland, very broad, very vague requirements. Stuff like you need to know Premiere Pro, you need to know After Effects, you need to know Photoshop, DaVinci, whatever it be, right? Most of us, I would assume, if not everybody, knows how to use Premiere or knows how to use After Effects, okay? Some people, After Effects, probably not. But Premiere generally, yes, right? So like if you use Premiere as your main software, and if you're not DaVinci or whatever else, you know Premiere. So you'd assume, oh, right, I am good for this job. It's hard for them to communicate, hey, you need to be good at Premiere, but in the sense where I don't have to give you notes on X, Y, Z. I don't have to give you notes on, fixing your anchor points, fixing your sequence settings, fixing your X, Y, Z, like I said. But you'll never, that's why a lot of job posts are very bland. They're like, oh, you need to have good storytelling. You need to have master retention. You need to know X, Y, Z. And a lot of editors, they'll assume, oh, right, I am good at X, Y, Z now that I think about it. I am quite the master storyteller myself. Most people, they know the software, but it's like, do you have the ideas? Would you have the idea on the spot to think, yes, this is what's best for the video? How far does your knowledge go? How in-depth is your knowledge? That's not something you can put to scale. They can't describe that to you. You just have to get it, which is why trials were invented. They can't describe what you know. It's not like something that comes to you. There's no like objective to it. It's like, we need to see how you perform. This is why it's pretty good to know the details and stuff. This is why it's pretty good to know, oh yeah, I don't have to focus on X, Y, Z because I know editing, I know my software. All they need to give me notes on is the style. Thank you. Well, let's go back to the video. They pay you more, so they have to give these revisions less. So if I was a client and my editor was just bad at editing, at some point, after a few revision notes, I just think, you know what? This guy just sucks. I'm going to hire someone else. Even if it means paying more money, I'll just hire someone else. But if an editor that I hire on the spot, in the first video, he doesn't understand channel style, but he understands the basic detail importance in editing. If he just gets this down, right? Stage 1. This is like stage 1, right? That's no problem. If he doesn't understand this is also no problem. But if he understands this and doesn't understand this, he's not getting the job. Somebody who understands channel style doesn't understand detail and importance, what is less likely to get the job than somebody who is good at detail, bad at style adaptation. Because this is easy to communicate. This is not. They are not supposed to communicate this. They are supposed to communicate this. Like, I could probably explain how the entire YouTube economy works and how different channels work in different production. But that's going to take me too long. So what I am going to tell you is that this is just what you have to understand, full stop. Now, how do I know this is true? Well, first of all, I had gone through it, right? All of these guys had told me, apart from him, I think this one, he just told me that I was bad. But I wasn't bad. I made a pretty good submission. The editor that he hired was just better. He understood the style. So at some point, when you start to work with bigger and bigger and bigger clients, this is like a necessity. Like, if you just don't understand basic detail and importance, the first frame they look at, they'll be like, they can judge you and say, oh yeah, he's just bad. We're not even going to bother to look at this this trial, right? And it will come down to how well can they understand channel style. So just to look at like these old graphics that I used, right? At a certain point, editors are going to say, you know, it's not about the skill. Don't spend 10 hours on the teeny bit of details. But let me tell you something, sunshine. The teeny details that you don't want to spend hours on is the stuff that the creators are willing to pay for. Because at some point, you know, money is not an issue for creators. If every single editor out there was just shit at taking notes, just bad at editing. If there was one guy who did not need any revision notes, he understood the detail, all he really needed to learn was style, and all of these guys had money, the only way for the editor to choose who to work for is whoever pays him the best, right? Whoever treats him the nicest, whoever, you know? So you have these pool of editors who can just pay the absolute most. And whilst you guys are complaining, right? You guys are like, guys, it's not about the skill. You know, you need to be a good salesman. You need to just understand, like, you know, how to sell yourself. I've seen plenty of editors who just purposely miss out on the tiny details and mistakes in their editing. Go like, it's fine, you know, it's just like small details. No one's gonna notice, but they do. They notice. This is the most crucial thing. The small details that you think don't matter are the most important in editing. So these are the ones that pay more, and these are the ones that are willing to give you the job after a trial. So obviously, at some point, when you start working for the biggest creators, this is like a no-brainer, right? We don't even have to worry about this. It's just about who can get the style the best. And it's like by the teeny 1%ers. But that 1% change will amount to like, it'll be like 100 times better. So kind of like with that Ali A trial video that I did, there were editors who were like 1 or 2% better than me with their submissions, right? But that 1 or 2% adds up in editor terms, who are looking at the trial, it's like 100 times better. But if you give it to like a new editor or like just an avid viewer, right? Just a regular guy, he would say, oh, you know, they're pretty similar. They're not that bad. These guys were miles better because they really understood this. They understood this. But there's no point going for the channel style if you don't get this. You must have this to start focusing on this. Don't focus on this if you don't understand this, right? This. You know what I'm talking about? Pool of creators who have the big bucks, right? This is them. They have the big bucks to pay. Obviously, at some point, you just need to focus on the... I think you get the point, right? You get the point. So, Danny, again, I think you're talking a lot of shit here. Well, let me give you some proof, right? I'm going to give you some proof. Now, I'm a bit like Batman. You know, by day, I am Bruce Wayne. By night, I am Batman. By day, I am a video editor. By night, I coach video editors, okay? There is an editor that I coached recently who had insane results with this very thing here. Now, this is Hale. You guys all know him as Hale. And he understood the basic like detail and importance, but he couldn't quite get channel style down. So if we look at his Twitter, which we're going to do in a second, you'll notice that he wasn't so bad. He just needed a bit of direction. And recently, he made work that was incredible. He was he was taking some trials for a single client. And this client, he turned him down like a few times. But then at some point, Hale came to me and was like, Danny, I need some help. I was like, no problem, man, I got you. And we got to work, and then he finally understood channel style. And then it wasn't just like, oh, okay, you got it now. It was like, oh my God, this is the best submission I've seen. Everything was perfect. I have no notes. I shit you not. Let me get up the screenshot right now. Bang, look at that. Basically, everything on the video is perfect. And then finally, he had gotten the job. Now, let's take a look at this trial, see what we can pick up. This is his Twitter page, as you can see here. Okay, be sure to show him some support because this is some very nice work. Now, this was his work prior to the program. He understood detail. He understood what it meant to focus on the 1%, 2% tiny details of editing because he understood that those made the biggest differences. But he needed a bit of direction with his channel style.
Android phone, but this is an Android phone, but it's not a normal phone. It's actually called the ROG 8 Pro, and it costs $1,200. I could have bought an entire PC for that price. So I decided to see what would actually happen if I tried turning this into a PC. The first thing I need to do is actually download Taskbar. It's actually just like an app in the Play Store.
Very nice work, right? We're not going to go into it too much. Very nice work. I am very proud of him. If you're watching this, brother, I'm very proud of you. And you know that. Okay, we've gone through crazy growth together. But yeah. And here's the thing, he eventually started working with the client. You can see it's in his bio now. And we can, if we scroll down for a second, he had a few trials. And it just didn't particularly work out entirely. But he finally understood it, because now he understands how trials work, and he is going to have infinitely more success whenever he starts trying out. Now, if you wish to see success like Hale here, then I help editors. Like I said, I'm basically like Batman. So there is a link below that will lead you to a call. I like to help editors like him and editors like you struggling with this kind of stuff, with trials, with improving your editing, with scaling your prices, okay, with your current clients. Then please, the link is below. I love helping out editors. I love building relationships with editors. I love hearing about your guys' stories. So yeah, if this is something that you're interested in, then the call is below, and goodbye.